Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradare Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamunatiravanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. On the farm is an alternate student break happening. So students from Penn State there, and Yashadev Prabhu and Balaram Bava Prabhu. Balaram Bava just joined. They are assisting Dhruva Maharaj Prabhu. Facilitate the students be engaged in the service wonderland, that is Gitanagari. So Dhruva Prabhu is busily engaged cooking for the students. So they asked me to give class this morning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanang Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashtapraishvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatutam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 7, What Prahlad Learned in the Womb, Text 51 to 52. Nalam dvijatvam teva tvam rishitvam vasurat majaha prina prina prinanaya mukundasya navritam na bahugyata nadhanam na tapo neja na shocham na vritani cha priyate malaya bhaktya Harir anyadvidambanam. Nalam dvijatvam devatvam. Rishitvam vasura ratmajaha. Vrinanaya mukundasya. Navritam na bahugyata. Nadanam na tepo neja. Na shocham na vritani cha. Priyate malaya bhaktya. Harir anya vidambanam. Would anyone like to try to read the verse?
Hey, Prabhu, we actually did text 50, 51, and 52 yesterday.
Okay.
We can do it again if you want, but it's up to you.
Okay, let's do 53 then. Thanks, Prabhu, for the correction. Tato haro bhagavati. Tato haro. Tato haro bhagavati bhaktim guruta dnavaha atmo pamyena sarvatra sarva bhutatma nishvare. Tato haro bhagavati bhaktim guruta dnavaha atmopamyena sarvatra sarvabhutatmanishvare. Would anyone like to try to read the verse?
Tato hara bhagavati bhaktim kuru tadanavaha atmapam yena sarvatra sarvabhutatmanishvare.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Tato haro bhagavati bhaktim kuruta danavaha atmopamyena sarvatra sarvabhutatmanishvare.
Thanks, Prabhu. Tataha, therefore, Haro unto Lord Hari, Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhaktim, devotional service, Guruta, execute, Danavaha, O my dear friends, O sons of demons, Atma, Opamyena, just as one's own self, Sarvatra, everywhere, Sarvabhuta Atmani, who is situated as a soul and supersoul of all living entities, Ishvare, unto the Supreme Lord, the Controller. Translation: My dear friends, O sons of the demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as the supersoul of all living entities. Purport: The word atmopamyena refers to thinking others to be like oneself. One can very intelligently conclude that without devotional service, without becoming Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy. Therefore, the duty of all devotees is to preach Krishna consciousness everywhere, all over the world, because all living entities without Krishna consciousness are suffering the pangs of material existence. To preach Krishna consciousness is the best welfare activity. Indeed, it is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as para upakara, work for the true benefit of others. The activities of para upakara have been especially entrusted to those who have taken birth in India as human beings. Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusha Janma Yara Janma Sartaka Karikara Para Karikara Para Upakara. The entire world is suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised all human beings born in India to make their lives perfect by Krishna consciousness and then preach the gospel of Krishna consciousness all over the world, so that others may become happy by executing the principles of Krishna consciousness. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prasthaya Bhutale Shumate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyate Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tato Haro Bhagavati Bhaktim Kuruta Dana Vaha Atmopamyena Sarvatra Sarvabhutatmani Shvare. My dear friends, O sons of the demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as a super soul of all living entities. So Prahlad Maharaj is describing the ontological position of the living entity, and he's deriving the dharma of the living entity from that description. So the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is spread everywhere through his omnipotence. So His Holiness Srila Maharaj describes Krishna. He's coined the term the triple O God. It's like you have AAA insurance, you have AAA grading from these financial systems, saying that this debt, uh, it's good debt. The people, they won't like default. So you can actually use this financial instrument to actually gain benefit. So the highest rating of any, and so when you observe the activities of the living entities, this grading is actually taking place in terms of which master can actually, where can I derive the most benefit? Because a living entity, in basically executing the functions of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, they are always dependent on someone, either on an institution or initially it's on another living entity, the mother, the father. And then as their consciousness expands from Annamaya to Pranamaya, then they may depend on friends, and then as they get more educated, then they can develop on institutions. They can develop on impersonal entities outside of, the immediate nuclear circle. And so in this dependence, there's a rating that's happening. And so we can see that so here we're being educated on the highest rating. So the so systems are always being run by persons, whether they be the government, whether the electric power, the Wi-Fi system, the water, they're always being run by someone. And so this is the worldview of the Bhagavatam. So even now the weather's warming up, and even that change in the weather, it's been run by someone. So we are educated to know that it's being run by Surya, powerful living entity. But who is Surya dependent on? Did he actually create the sun planet when he was born? Where did the resources come from? And then if you have more information, then you'll understand that it's coming from Lord Brahma, Brahma, right? That he actually created the universe as it was prior to the initial cycle. And then who is actually Lord Brahma meditating on? Because when one observes the activities of Brahma, he's meditating. He's holding beads, japamala, and he's chanting. So who's the object of his meditation? And Brahma tells you himself that it's actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has the highest rating as the living entity from whom you can derive benefit, from whom you can have shelter. And this rating is triple O, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent. He is the friend of all living entities. Not only is he supplying your needs, some living entities who have a lower rating, they become proud by their power of being able to actually provide maintenance. Just like the proverbial stoic father. Oh, the children can complain. Oh, you never spend time with us. And then the father responds, oh, but I'm doing all this for you. What's wrong with you? You should be more grateful. So, but Krishna is never like that. Uh, even though the living entity, even though he can provide a full justification, how many living entities is providing sustenance for? Even sons and daughters who don't know that he's providing sustenance for in lower life forms. He's feeding elephants, camels, whales. He's feeding gigantic humans, uh, these strong men from like Scandinavian countries, some of them very big. And he's feeding billions of ants. So in terms of life form that's actually dominant on this planet, there's 8 billion humans, or approaching 8 billion humans. And for every human, I've heard the statistic from my Guru Maharaj, but we could ask AI that there's an estimated 2.5 million ants for every billion. So that's billions, quadrillions of ants. And the Lord is actually providing sustenance for all of them. And so for such a living entity, a supreme living entity like the Lord, he could say, oh, I'm just busy. That's why I'm unable to give you attention. But no, the Lord is not like that. The Lord is giving everybody attention as a super soul. And so this is why Prahlad Maharaj is advising his friends that this is the position. So we should see the Lord as a friend in a very favorable way. Lord Chaitanya, he instructs in his Shikshastakam, first verse. Sorry, Prabhus, can you help me with the first verse of the Shikshastakam? Just the first line.
Eto darpana marjanam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, Cheto Tarpana Marjanam Bhavama Tavardi Nirvarpanam Shreya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadujivanam Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Punamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So the first effect that takes place in chanting the holy name of the Lord is that the dust on the heart that's accumulated on the heart due to taking birth, taking many births, so taking one body, rejecting another body, there's dust that's accumulated on the mirror. So this is the analogy that Lord Chaitanya uses, is that the holy name actually removes this dust, right? So the consciousness acts, pure consciousness functions like a mirror. And when we, just before getting ready, after we get up from bed, we look at ourselves in the mirror to get ready, to ensure that the face is in order. We can put on tilak, just to make sure that we are presentable, looking clean. So similarly, we should view ourselves in the mirror of the pure consciousness. And when we actually view ourselves, we will see the super soul. And the super soul, and this is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying, is that, excuse me, we should view, yeah, we should actually, we should maintain, just as we are maintaining ourselves, so similarly, we should maintain a very clear view of the super soul. And because the super soul's disposition towards us is that of a friend, we should take care of the friend. We should actually try to reciprocate and take care of this friendship that is actually sustaining you. So this part of this, sorry, yeah. And so Prabhupada in the purport, he's saying that the ultimate activity of maintenance is actually to share Krishna consciousness with others. So from the Sanatana Dharma, the living entity Sanatana Dharma is to serve. So whether you, as we were describing earlier, whether you are serving the body itself to get it ready, then you have to, then, you'll feed, put food in the stomach. So that's one level of maintenance in Annamaya. So there's activities in Annamaya consciousness where you actually have to maintain this body. And then there's Pranamaya activities where you consider all the people that you're dependent on from your nuclear family, then it radiates out. But we should consider the super soul is actually part of our nuclear family. In fact, he is the nucleus. That all this entire arrangement for my maintenance has been provided by the super soul. And with and this is the Jnanamaya platform. When one understands that I'm actually part and parcel of the Supreme Father, and He is in my heart, and He's provided this entire arrangement for me to actually be maintained, for my eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and even for my, and then beyond this, then okay, even the satisfaction that I derive from interacting with other living entities, my friends, even devices like, the most troublesome devices, are printers. Yeah, printers, somehow they just, when you need them to work, they don't work. So we can consider our relationship to a printer to be that in Shantaras. So when a printer is working, we can, yes, this happiness that I'm deriving right now from a printer working, this is arranged by the super soul. So we have different relationships where we derive happiness, neutrality with technology. That's one immediate relationship. And then if we go out in nature, and enjoy the mode of goodness in the morning. So that's all arranged by the super soul. And then the friends, then we may have other people who, at the workplace, who are, I guess we have a superior position, and they may be a relationship of servitude, relationship with friends, and then with one's parents, there's Vatsalyaras. And then if you're very fortunate, like ourselves, you can actually experience reflected, a purer form of reflected Vatsalyaras in the mature world with senior devotees. Devotees who you don't really, they don't you don't really have a long history with them in a lifetime, and yet they give you a higher benefit than your own parents can. They point to you, they remind you that yes, as you are entering different stages of life, either you're a student, you're still trying to increase your knowledge about how you're going to maintain yourself. And then once you have a handle on that, then you enter into the Grihastha ashram. So the senior devotees can be a reminder and a personal example for you on how to, even no matter how busy life can get, you should always maintain your connection with the Supreme Lord by chanting His holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that's a high benefit. Yes. And so all this, and then ultimately, as one gets purified, then the spiritual master, he can actually give you entrance into understanding the highest rasa, which is this Yugala Priti. That is the conjugal, amorous, loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna. And this is what Lord Chaitanya is giving. And so all of this is actually, all this happiness, so from Jnanamaya to Vijnanamaya, where you actually get in realization about all these various relationships, where these relationships are coming from, who's made the arrangements, who are the living entities that are part of these relationships, and then actually understanding the highest the highest form of highest liberation, highest relationship from where the highest bliss, highest happiness is derived, that understanding, then you can enter into this Yugala Pariti. And that's been given by the Parampara. And the Parampara's affection for us, the guru, the entrance of the Shiksha Guru, the Vartma Pradarsaka Guru, the first guru that we come in contact with, who actually introduces us to Krishna consciousness. They interact with us like a father. And the analogy that's described is that the guru is the father, then the Vedas is the mother. So all of this arrangement is actually being made by the Supersoul, the Chaita Guru from within. It's quite sophisticated orchestration on the part of the Supersoul to actually arrange for a living entity to actually go through these stages, these 5 stages of consciousness, and even though they're in the material body, but still be liberated, have this highest knowledge, and actually extract happiness. Yeah. So extracting happiness, excuse me, from being a witness of Krishna's pastimes within the courtyard of one's heart. And so after this has actually taken place, then the next thing is, okay, you have to give it to other living entities. So the way to actually maintain this favorable disposition to the Supersoul, maintaining your gratitude to how the Supersoul has just transformed your entire life. In other words, now you're fully Krishna conscious, is then to actually give it to others. To actually be a servant of the Supersoul. So the Supersoul is making these arrangements. And he's actually depending on us to actually help him. So while the Supersoul is omnipotent, there is a barrier between him and the living entity. And the barrier is when minute independence is misused. So if we look at how we became Krishna conscious is by another living entity who is Krishna conscious, who actually used their independence to convince us to then use our independence. So this is the system, is that the Lord, even though he can actually, just as we depend on him to actually forget him, uh, similarly, he doesn't need any other living entity to cause them to actually remember him and then remember our relationship, right? But it can't be forced love. So the super soul then depends on his parts and parcels who are fully conscious of him to actually convince other living entities to now, okay, this barrier, let's just dissolve it. And the person Bhagavat, the guru, he convinces us. So through intense love for the Lord, he doesn't accept that this barrier should actually be maintained. He continues to try this way. Okay, let's try to put the peas in your mouth through the front, through the side, maybe do 360 around the head, and then try to offer you the spoon again. Different ways. So the expert preacher is like that. And that's why he's actually very dear to the Lord, the preacher. It's very dear to the Lord because the Lord knows that's what's in the self-interest of the living entity, is to preach. So what's in the self-interest of the living entity is to be conscious of him. He can't force it because in order for the relationship to be awakened, the living entity has to choose the Lord. He has to choose to remember him, choose to offer his obeisances unto him, choose to shut down his plan-making factory, and depend on the Lord's just very sophisticated orchestration for our benefit. That even in the material world, one can perfect their lives so much so that they can view the Yugala purity through the heart. Yeah, view the amorous pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna through the heart. View the binding of Lord Krishna by Mother Yashoda through the heart as it's actually happening. So this is the highest perfection that can take place. And the happiness that's derived from just viewing these wonderful pastimes as they're taking place in the spiritual world, no happiness can actually approach this, right? So yes, and so that's why Prabhupada in the purport here, he's saying that Bharata Bhumite Haila Manushya Janma Yara, Janma Sartaka Karikara Para Upakara. So let's maybe try to read the purport. Let's see. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all people. Purport. The magnanimity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressed in this very important verse. Although he was born in Bengal and Bengalis therefore have a special duty toward him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing not only Bengalis, but all the inhabitants of India. It is in the land of India that actual human civilization can be developed. Human life is especially meant for God realization, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra. Tattva Brahma Jigyasa. Anyone who takes birth in the land of India, Bharatvarsha, has a special privilege of being able to take advantage of the instruction and guidance of the Vedic civilization. He automatically receives the basic principles of spiritual life. For 99% of the Indian people, even simple village farmers and others who are neither educated nor sophisticated, believe in the transmigration of the soul, believe in past and future lives, believe in God, and naturally want to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative. These ideas are the natural inheritance of a person born in India. India has many holy places of pilgrimage such as Gaya, Benares, Mathura, Prayag, Vrindavan, Haridwar, Rameshwaram, in Jagannath Puri, and still people go there by the hundreds and thousands. Although the present leaders of India are influencing the people not to believe in God, not to believe in the next life, and not to believe in a distinction between pious and impious life, and although they are teaching them how to drink wine and eat meat and become supposedly civilized, people are nevertheless afraid of the four activities of sinful life, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. And wherever there is a religious festival, they gather together by the thousands. We have actual experience of this. Whenever the Krishna consciousness movement holds a Sankirtan festival in a big city like Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, Ahmedabad, and Hyderabad, thousands of people come to hear. Sometimes you're speaking in English, but even though most people do not understand English, they nevertheless come to hear us. Even when imitation incarnations of Godhead speak, people gather in the thousands. For everyone who is born in the land of India has a natural spiritual inclination and is taught the basic principles of spiritual life. They merely need to be a little more educated in the Vedic principles. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says here, Janma Saltaka Karikarak Parupakar. If an Indian is educated in the Vedic principles, he is able to perform the most beneficial welfare activities for the entire world. So, in our midst, we've had Prabhupada who took this to heart. So he synthesized, assimilated this instruction fully into his heart, and he spread the gospel and the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. And so powerful was his spreading of Krishna consciousness that even persons who weren't born in India, they had all these characteristics that he actually described. And we too, on the Zoom chat, we have these characteristics that even though we weren't born in India, but we, just by being in the association of devotees, we automatically receive the basic principles of spiritual life, right? Even a rank and file devotee who's not expert in Sanskrit is not a great scholar. In other words, they fit the persona of a quote here in this purport, a simple village farmer. We are a farm community. And we may not be sophisticated and educated in building advanced technologies, in having doctorates like our dear Balaram Bava Prabhu. For those of you who don't know, it's Dr. Balaram Bava. Yes, he holds a very sophisticated qualification. So not many of us have the sophisticated qualification, and yet, as Prabhupada is describing here, we believe in the transmigration of the soul, we believe in past and future lives, we believe in God, and we naturally want to worship the Supreme Lord who's standing as Sri Sri Radha Damodar. So all these characteristics of someone who is born in India, when you read it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm also like this. And it happens pretty quickly. Like within 2 years of just associating with the devotees, you develop these characteristics. And then here Prabhupada is describing, although we look at our world, especially here in the US, so although the present leaders, we can just reread this, right, for our context. Although the present leaders of the US are influencing the people not to believe in God, not to believe in the next life, and not to believe in the distinction between pious and impious life, and although they are teaching us how to drink wine, eat meat, become supposedly civilized, we are nevertheless afraid of the four activities of sinful life, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. And whenever there's a religious festival, we gather, not by the thousands of, unlike in India, but we gather, and we went together. Like last week, Tuesday, it was the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we gathered to actually honor, basically, and derive great joy from chanting the holy name together. And honor the appearance of the Lord. In fact, it's our new year. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava calendar, it's day 1 of the new year. Yeah, so this is Krishna consciousness. Is now that we have developed these characteristics simply by being in the association of devotees for a very short time, then now we should actually give it to others. So whoever is within your circle of influence, you should actually, we should be committed in trying to actually get them, convince them to use their minute independence in turning to the super soul, seeing their self-interest in worshipping the Lord, offering, chanting the Lord's holy name, and giving them prasad in some way. And so by this program of them actually chanting the holy name of the Lord, feeling the friendship of the Lord. So when you're chanting, it's very intimate actually. Chanting the holy name of the Lord is not different from his holy name. This is you and the Lord. So each person should actually have this experience. And then you're eating this prasad, and the person doesn't know why it tastes so good, but it just really tastes so good. And they get this taste. And so this is Lord Chaitanya's program, is that for every living entity, they need to actually get this taste of loving someone even they don't know about. And by this taste, then they'll actually develop an interest in trying to understand who the person is that is basically has transformed their entire life and is giving them this joy of just simply from chanting, you can actually have this joy and just experience just being connected with others, people you see devotees, you don't know them for a long time, and yet they are treating you like a long lost brother, long lost sister. So everybody actually should experience this. And this is Prabhupada's program, is that even in a situation where you say, yeah, Krishna consciousness cannot take hold in this environment, we can't, yes, on Friday I was citing the example where through research back in the 70s, Prabhupada's disciples, they came back to him and said, yeah, we've researched how we can distribute Bhagavatam sets, but it doesn't look like it's possible. So we should, like Prabhupada, he's like, thank you for your research, but I think it's possible. So our mind can also present that to us, is that you know, at the workplace, or you go into the gym, or you go like us, we go to Taekwondo. And it might be that the people that you interact with through just your activities of maintaining your body, yeah, this person, I could never give them, my neighbor, I could never give them Krishna consciousness. You can say to the mind, thank you for your research, but I think it's possible. This person is part and parcel of Krishna. I know that. And I can actually give them a taste for the Krishna, even though they don't know who Krishna is, but I can actually give them a taste. And that is the Sanat that is the ultimate Sanatana Dharma, ultimate activity as part of our Sanatana Dharma. We maintain ourselves by giving a taste to others of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, reflections, or contentions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Aghari Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you for a very nice class. Always a nice class. I we have 9 minutes or so, and I don't really have a question. I don't really have a comment either. I'm just trying to think of how we can perpetuate the Krishna Katha here for the next 9 minutes. Srila Prabhupada is talking about para upakar, which is the highest welfare, the ultimate welfare. So there's all different kinds of welfare that one could engage in, and some are attracted to the idea of performing welfare. If someone has a little bit of a pious inclination, they may be inclined to engage in some sort of activity that is beneficial to others. So there's all different kinds of welfare. Srila Prabhupada often gives the example of those who try to create medical facilities for the benefit of others, or educational facilities, or simply helping others financially that are less fortunate. So there's different kinds of welfare, but Srila Prabhupada explains, and our previous acharyas explained, that the greatest welfare, the highest welfare, is to share Krishna consciousness with others, because by so doing, you enable them to solve all the actual problems of life. Other types of welfare may yield some temporary relief from this or that type of suffering, but para upakara will permanently solve all problems completely. Not just a band-aid, not just a temporary fix, but it permanently solves all of the problems of life. And Prabhupada quotes the verse given by direction given by Lord Chaitanya for those who are born in the land of Bhartavarsha. They have a special responsibility. Krishna consciousness is in their blood, but anyone, the instruction really applies to anyone who has um, uh, received the message of Lord Chaitanya, anyone who has that benefit, who has received even a little bit of Krishna consciousness, even if you just heard a few simple instructions. We don't want to be miserly. We want to share that wealth with others. It's unlike any sort of material wealth in that when you give it to others, your own personal stock does not diminish. You can give to others limitlessly, and rather than your personal stock diminishing, it actually increases. The more you give Krishna consciousness, the more you receive Krishna consciousness. So it's of a spiritual nature, a transcendental nature, which is diametrically opposed to material nature. It's very different. And so the instruction of Lord Chaitanya applies to us as well as those who are natives of Bhartavarsha. Anyone who has received that message, we are obliged to share it with others. And that is the mood of Lord Chaitanya. It was his personal activity when he was present 500 years ago, chanting congregationally in public and preaching the message of Krishna consciousness, sharing it with others, and propagating not just the knowledge of Krishna Bhakti itself, but also propagating the the mentality, the willingness, the desire to share the message, that mindset is itself devotional service, and it's the best devotional service because by practicing that service, you benefit others and you benefit yourself at the same time. It's wonderful. Um, it spreads the rays of the benediction moon, right? So very nice. Lord Chaitanya himself glorifies the Sankirtan movement, and um, so the propagation of Krishna consciousness is our foremost business. Srila Prabhupada established this mood from the very beginning of his movement, um, and it's manifested in all different kinds of ways. Very early on, Srila Prabhupada conceived of all different mechanisms and means by which we could propagate Krishna consciousness. He wrote in 1956 a two-part essay entitled Conception of Aghari, in which he described different ways in which Krishna consciousness could be propagated. He even talked about radio stations and I think he mentioned mobile radio vans. Um, uh, all different types of means were described by him. And you can exercise your mind in endless ways to find means to do it. There is no limit, but very, very wonderful. Anyone who takes up that mission, who endeavors to try to spread Krishna consciousness, they quickly realize how very ecstatic that is. Devotional service always has a wonderful taste, but the taste of propagating Krishna consciousness is particularly powerful and wonderful because it is especially pleasing to Krishna, to Lord Chaitanya. And when we endeavor to preach Krishna consciousness, we have the direct association of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada has explained. And which of course is wonderfully ecstatic and uplifting. We learn so much, and we are lifted high above the modes of material nature. We are protected and empowered in all kinds of ways. We get the help of the entire Guru Parampara and Lord Chaitanya himself when we endeavor to follow that instruction of para upakara. So the instruction applies to all of us, and not just those born in the land of Bharta Varsha. Um, I think everybody knows that, but we should not forget it. Even at Gitanagri, where our activities are a little bit different, it is also for the purpose of para upakara. It is also propagating Krishna consciousness. What Srila Prabhupada had in mind for Gitanagri, in addition to directly preaching to people who may come to visit us, or we may go outside Gitanagari. For his farm community, Srila Prabhupada described a program of going outside the farms by bullock cart um, to points everywhere within a 10-mile radius, and preaching Krishna consciousness to everyone, distributing prasad, inviting everyone to come and see the deities and participate in the program of Krishna consciousness. I had the opportunity to actually do that in India, traveling from our farm in Hyderabad, traveling by bullock cart all around the area of the farm for many miles in all directions. Incredibly ecstatic program. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful program. And everywhere we went, everyone was received us with very warmly and with great excitement, offering us everything that we needed. We didn't have to stock anything. We didn't ever have to worry about Boga or Lakshmi or any sort of material necessities. Everything was supplied to us automatically everywhere we went. People were enthused to contribute to our effort, and very exciting program. Uh, I had the chance to see practically that Krishna consciousness is truly in the blood of those born in Bharatavarsha. Srila Prabhupada explained that. In the cities, there is a heavy influence of Western culture, and people are forgetting Krishna consciousness. But when you go out into the countryside, that influence is less pronounced, and Krishna consciousness is very prominent everywhere. There are many, many people and vast tracts of land under cultivation. People are living simply and growing their food, actually living as Krishna lived 5,000 years ago. They're still living in exactly the same way. Millions upon millions of people still living just as Krishna lived, very happily, very peacefully, very simply, without any modern amenities, um, and simple agricultural lifestyle. And just they're very happy, much happier than the people in the cities who are disturbed by endless waves of desires and so many frustrations. People in the country have none of that. Life is simple. So it was wonderful to get a chance to see that and to share Krishna consciousness with everyone. We carried a large stock of Srila Prabhupada's poetic rendition of Bhagavad Gita, Gita Gans, um, translated into the local language. So we would distribute that book to all the villagers everywhere we went. In the course of a day, just traveling through the countryside at the rate that an ox walks, which is also the same speed that a human being walks, um, you will encounter a minimum of two villages per day. So you start in one location, you have breakfast and your morning program, and then you start out. By midday, you will reach another village where you have kirtan and distribute books and prepare some lunch prasad, maybe distribute prasad to the locals, and then you move on once again, and by evening you'll reach another village, and the same program again, kirtan and distributing prasad. Everyone comes from everywhere. The people come running out of the agricultural fields to meet you. Um, we had Gornataya deities on the back of our ox cart. Everyone would come and offer something to the deities. They just know what to do. It's just natural. Soon, as soon as they see devotees in saffron, they come running. They hear kirtan. Everyone drops what they're doing. They all run to see. They see the deities, and immediately they run to their homes. They grab whatever stores they have and offer something to the deities. Um, so then we would take whatever boga was offered and prepare a nice offering, and then distribute that back to the villagers who had just provided the boga. Um, wonderful program, wonderful program of Krishna consciousness. Lots of time for hearing and chanting, just chanting japa. You can sit down on the cart as the oxen walk along and just read Srimad Bhagavatam, or you can walk alongside and chant Hare Krishna. And then several times a day you have big kirtan, at least, 3 times a day. You have your morning program and the first village that you hit and then the next village that you encounter. Um, so 3 big kirtans a day and nice prasadam distribution. It's like a Sunday feast every 2 times a day minimum. It's pretty nice. The head of every village invites you usually to his home so he can serve you a meal. Um, if they have a temple, they'll invite you to come and chant before their deities, and very, very nice programs. So we can do that here also. Um, there was a devotee, I can't recall his name now. I think he was from Brazil. Um, he came here and he chose to use horses because that's what he was familiar with. But he set up a cart, a wagon. It was outfitted like a motorhome. Everything he needed was there. He and his wife um, set out from Aghari, and they I think they traveled across the country with what looked like a Conestoga wagon, a covered cart drawn by horses, and having kirtans, spreading prasad, and preaching everywhere. It always draws a lot of attention. People take a lot of interest, so there's lots of opportunities to preach. Well, I think I filled the time. Uh,
You certainly did,
I'll-
Prabhu. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your ecstatic recollection of how to preach Krishna consciousness in the countryside. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, I invite you all to continue churning the nectar of this Parupakara, preaching to everyone. We have preachers on our chat. We have Yashadev Prabhu, who's heading up the preaching here in State College, and Balaram Baba Prabhu, who's assisting him very closely. So I have to run to a meeting now. But yes, please continue to churn the nectar so that we can actually feel inspired and see the great happiness, great ananda that comes from doing this Aparupakara and actually just trying to give a little bit of taste. And everybody has a story on how they've tried to give some Krishna consciousness to a friend, to a work colleague, to just somebody that they know. So I invite you all to just please share. And then I think that will be a great way to start the week. So I just have to jump off, but please continue to churn this nectar.